Hello and welcome to WorldCanvass from International Programs at the University of Iowa. I'm Joan Kerr, and we're coming to you from Film Scene in downtown Iowa City. This is part 2 of a 3-part series called Snapshot Brazil. In this segment, we're going to indulge our senses a little bit with an excursion into the music and dance of Brazil. Some would say the soul of Brazil. And by the way, if you're going to be doing any social media during this show, please use the hashtag WorldCanvass or at UIowaIP on Twitter. My guests are Marita Murphy Marks, professor in the University of Iowa School of Music, just next to me here. Thanks, Marita.
It's a pleasure.
And next to her is Rafael dos Santos, a professor at the Universidade Estadual de Campinas, Brazil. Nice to have you here, Rafael.
Thank you.
And Armando Duarte is next to him. He's a professor in the University of Iowa Department of Dance. So nice to have you all here. If you mention Brazil to just about anybody, anywhere, somebody will think of sambas or composers like Villa-Lobos and Pixinguinha. Somebody else will certainly think of dance and the exuberance of carnival. But our guests today, 2 of whom are natives of Brazil, will introduce us to the music and the dance of this richly diverse country. And I'd like to introduce this whole segment here with Marita and Rafael talking about the music they've recorded together, the music they've performed together in many parts of the world. And we'll hear a few cuts of some of their music and have them talk a little bit about what these songs mean, what kinds of expressions they are in terms of folk traditions, or perhaps some elements that may be borrowed from a European tradition. We'll get right into it in just a second, but my first question is for Marita, which is, how did a nice girl from Wisconsin ever get hooked on Brazil?
We don't have enough time. Gosh, I think that I really wanted to explore some other kinds of music except our classical music, and I really needed to grow in another way. So I approached Rafael in the hallway at the mailboxes one day and asked him if he would do a recital with me. We did not know what it would be, but I thought that, well, maybe we could do some romantic music and maybe we could do a little jazz or something. So in the end, it just ended up being all jazz. And at the very end, when we were about to perform, he says, Marita, I think you have the choro style in your playing. Would you like to try? And I said, well, what is it? And that's really how it started, because then I decided to play, I think we played 4 choros on that recital, and ever since I've been very immersed in it. It's just the most fantastic music. It's very free, and you can change the mood of a particular choro, and you can make it more personal for yourself, or it just in a lot of different varieties of style.
So let's talk about what a choro is. I'll turn to you, Rafael. Can you describe a choro?
Yes, it's basically instrumental music played by wind instruments. Flute is a very typical instrument of the choros, and clarinet, and sometimes trumpet is more seldom, and accompanied by guitars and mandolin and cavaquinho sometimes.
What's a cavaquinho?
Cavaquinho is a kind of ukulele. It's a small instrument with 4 strings. And I think the main characteristic of the choro is it's played more or less fast, although there are some slower pieces too, but the predominance is fast music, and it has a very live rhythm, and it has one thing that is very characteristic of many music, different styles of music in Brazil, which is the syncopation, which is the accent is always placed in between the beats, so it makes people feel like dancing. They're very strong.
So we have some examples of the music you've recorded. And for those who don't know these two people, Marita is the clarinetist, Rafael's the pianist. And I think we might go to these songs now. Can you describe Uma Zero?
Uma Zero, I wish you
Or
can
tell us
say it.
something
You
about
can
it.
say it in Portuguese.
1-0.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And well, it's a soccer score, 1-0. When Brazil beat Uruguay for the South American Soccer Championships, and I think it was in 1933.
I was not there. No idea. Look at me.
Sorry, Armando. I just thought you might correct me, and it would be just fine.
No, but
You know, but I think I'm right on the year. But anyway, and so Pixinguinha, he composed this piece in honor of their winning. So, Uma Zero, it's very famous choro, I think.
It is, yeah.
Okay, so that's track one. I don't know you very well yet, Rafael, but I do know Marita, and that seems like the perfect kind of music for her. Like these crazy little riffs going all over the place. It's just wonderful. Did it feel absolutely natural to you once you got to know these songs?
After a while,
Yeah.
you know, after a while,
Yeah.
you know, it really takes, I just remember really growing into it for the first few years and, you know, becoming much more comfortable with the rhythm and, you know, the style and, yeah.
Yeah.
And listening a lot to the great Brazilian clarinet choro players, you know, Proveta and Paulo Sergio Santos. And
So there's a long
Yeah.
tradition of clarinet. with this
definitely
music. Ah,
Paulo Moura,
yeah.
you know, I listened a lot to them and they're fantastic. So,
What do you enjoy about playing a song like that?
Oh, it's lively. It allows me to improvise, which I love to improvise, you know, and to react to what people are playing. You know, it always makes me feel like dancing to what I'm playing. So it gives me more ideas.
Yeah.
You know, and it's very, I don't know, who's called sutil,
Subtle.
subtle, very very subtle. There's things that very subtle, and it's very close to the way we speak to. Well, like. Professor Maria José said about the prolonging the vowels, you know.
Yeah.
So we rest on the vowels when we play. It was like think about a lyric, something that helps me to do that, you know. So it makes the music sound at the same time relaxed
Yeah.
and bringing forward
Yeah.
one time.
Well, now we have another one that we're going to play here.
Espinha de bacalhau.
Yeah, what can you tell us about that piece? How is it
Well,
different?
this was composed by another clarinet player, Severino Araújo, who was for many years, he died about 8 years ago, I think, but he was for many years leader of the first Brazilian big band. It was a kind of jazz, in the jazz format, but he played also choros, it was a kind of already appropriation of the jazz big band, And it was a big band that started in 1933, so pretty close to Count Basie's and Duke Ellington's band. Yeah. And he was a very good clarinet player, and then he wrote this choro. It has so many notes. It looks like a codfish spine. That's the title of the music.
Oh, I see. That's the title.
Espinha de bacalhau.
Oh, okay, very good. Spine of a codfish, huh? Okay. So let's hear track 15. Well, there's one song that we're going to use as kind of a transition to bring Armando into this discussion as well. As I understand it, it's a song that's beloved by Brazilians, Carinhoso. And we had the occasion to talk about it on another occasion. I wonder if either Armando or Rafael could tell us something about this song, about the words to this song, or what it means to you.
I do the dance.
Well, some people say that Carinhoso is actually the real Brazilian national anthem because everybody sing it and know the lyrics, you know. And it was composed by Pixinguinha, I think, in the early 1910.
Yeah.
But he left it on the drawer because it had only 2 parts. And a good choro needed to have 3 parts, like a minuet, you know. Like and then I think it was recorded only in the 30s because then he decided, times changed, so he decided to find somebody to put lyrics on it. Mm-hmm. And it's a very beautiful lyrical song, and the lyrics too, they're very carinhoso.
Tenderness.
Yeah,
It's
it's a lot of tenderness.
It's like a good love story, you know.
Exactly.
Can't go wrong when you have the right words at the right time and with the right arrangements, I guess.
Yeah.
And, well, the harmonic structure to everything is really very, very well composed, you know, the parts, the way they relate and the way they sound. So it's a wonderful music to play and listen to.
So let's hear a little bit of Carinhoso.
There is a syncope there as well, which makes quite Brazilian.
Brazilians, would you like to sing?
What? Foges de mim. Brazilians are shy, that's why they're not really singing. My heart, I don't know why. Beats out of happiness every time that sees you passing by. And my eyes keep smiling, and through the streets keeping following you, even though you keep running away from me. It's a great love story. I mean, it's a, you know. Tu soubesses como eu sou tão carinhoso. If you knew how much I love you and how tender I am, and how sincere is my love, I know that you never would run away. No, 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 no. Come, feel the heat of my lips falling. Yours. That's Brazilian, though. Gotta go graphic here, you know. Vem matar essa paixão que me devora o coração, e só assim então serei feliz, bem feliz. So please come and kill this passion that is devouring my heart. Only then, my love, I'll be happy. Happier. and this is like a samba too, you know, because it has that syncope that we're talking about. It's like this tunk, chika tunk, chika tunk, chika tunk. We should try it. Tunk, chika, chika, which is the syncopation of the beats. You have this beat, but Brazilians love these in-between beats. Tumpa chica, pumpa chica, pumpa chica. She could transform into a samba. Chorinho is known as the father of samba in terms of arrangements, all the musical elements. It's the kind of song that if you don't know, you keep denying or agreeing, and it works the same way. You just, and it works. It's playing, you look at her, you look at him, and it works. Always does. E só assim então. I guess Pixinguinha with Carinhoso did for the Brazilian music what Tom Jobim and Vinícius de Moraes and João Gilberto did with Bossa Nova. Because at that time, a few years after the composition of Carinhoso, sorry, okay. He moved to Paris and he stayed there for a few years with his band called the Batutas. And Chorinho was a big hit among other songs, and that's what brought the attention to how elaborated Brazilians could be in its composition with popular songs, with popular music. And of course, like the minuetos and other forms, European forms of music, and dance, in that case, influenced Brazil a lot, in particular Rio de Janeiro in the southeast region. And Chorinho showed the response, because it wasn't a minuet, it was a typical Brazilian song because of the syncopation, you know, that will then forever be part of what Brazilian music is recognized for, I guess, among other elements.
So Armando, for those of you who don't know, Armando teaches in the dance department here, brilliant choreographer and wonderful teacher. And I know I asked you to talk to us just a little bit about samba, about the dance form.
Yeah. Well, of course, we just have a few minutes because to explain even the culture of samba in Brazil in terms of movement, you would have to explain how the country was formed and this miscegenation of these cultures, European, Afro cultures from different nations, and also the indigenous people of Brazil. And I think samba is definitely was birthed. The birth of samba was in relationship to the mixing of these ethnicities. We say that Latin people in general, we move first, we think later. And then I think Brazil makes justice to that. There's no cultural event that you want to attend that you see Brazilians just like sitting in listening. I mean, maybe an opera or a classical, but outdoors. And so you go to sports, soccer games, and you see people moving and standing, and it's part of our culture. And of course, with the culture of carnival that started in the turn of the 20th century in Brazil in the form that we know now, with the school of samba parades, these communities that come down to the main avenue called Samba Drum and perform thematic-based parades, samba took another level. And the dance, which is purely based on improvisation, there's more than 40 kinds of sambas as we know today. Samba is a very cannibalistic art form. It keeps changing and transforming, absorbing all kinds of expressions you can imagine that exist in the world. And in the movement, it's a response to the rhythmicality present on samba. We say one of the forms of samba that we know is sambar no pé. Can you say it? Sambar no pé.
Sambar no pé.
Pé. Sambar no pé means speaking with your feet what the rhythm is saying. And usually this is done in an improvisational manner and responding to what the music is suggesting. Of course, carnival music is very percussive. It's 98% percussive. And samba, although different genres, percussion is one of the main elements. And so the tic-tac that we were doing just a few minutes ago is how we would do with the body. And Brazilians are good about that. I mean, definitely in responding. You don't need to be a dancer. It's just the idea that everybody can move within, in response to music in general. And samba is the mainstream, definitely. Period.
Oh, no.
A lot of
Yeah, you're perfect. Let me quickly ask you before we end our little segment here about the trips you take, I think almost on a yearly basis, with University of Iowa students to Carnival. You go to,
I've been fortunate that since 2008, coming back from a Carnival participation in Brazil, I went there, it was like my 50th anniversary, I was like, I have to be in parade, you know. Yeah. So I did that, and then when I came back, I had this insight that after talking with a few people, I decided to create 2 courses. One is called Brazilian Culture and Carnival. It started as an elective, and now as a gen ed. We started with 8 students, now we have 32. So I'm very proud about it. Go Hawks. Yes, definitely. And they love this charming accent. I don't know what it is, but it goes a long way. And it's a course that, as a gen ed, the students dance, even though they're not dancers, and they learn theory, and they see pictorial images of Brazil, and we talk about the Afro-Brazilian diaspora, the 450 years of slavery, so it's quite serious, but everything ends in samba, in a way, right? I don't know if it's good or bad, but that's the way it is. And then, as a result of that course, I decided to investigate the possibility of taking students to Brazil, and through the Office for Study Abroad, I have done 3 times. We do every other year. And I take students during the winter break, minus 50 now here, 92 degrees there. So just that is very appealing. And we investigated the making of the Brazilian carnival parades in São Paulo and Rio de Janeiro, along with the aspects of the Brazilian Afro diaspora. And we form in the next group now, actually. We're about to confirm everything. And we started with 6 students in the first group. The last group were 20.
Wow.
It's growing too.
Great, great, great.
Thanks for the opportunity. Oh, and Dance Gala, by the way.
Oh, yeah, Dance Gala, yeah,
Choreographing
absolutely.
Starting Thursday night for 2 weeks at Space Place Theater, and I'm doing a Brazilian piece called De Antônio de Brincante e Viramundo. Should all go check it out. It's quite good.
Wow. Well, this has been such fun. Armando Duarte, and Rafael dos Santos, and Marita Murphy-Marks. Thank you so much. This has been really great. And I hope all of you can join us for the 3rd part in this series, where we'll be talking about Brazilian sensibilities and aesthetics with 3 more really interesting guests. WorldCanvass programming can be found on YouTube, iTunes, UITV, and the International Program's website, which is international.uiowa.edu. And to check out Film Scene, visit icfilmscene.org. I'm Joan Kerr. Thanks for being here this afternoon. Good night. Thank you.